Okay, kids, in this short demonstration, I'm going to show you how to use a protractor. So first of all, let's take a look at this protractor activity worksheet. And it says here that a protractor is a transparent plastic tool that's designed to measure angles. Usually used as a semicircular tool, but also are available in a full circle 360-degree version. So the ones that we're using in our classroom are the half circle. And there's a couple parts to a protractor that we need to understand right off the start. And that is, first of all, you have a flat edge here, which is known as the baseline. Okay, the baseline goes through the bottom. Then you have usually what is a small hole in the middle of the protractor, and that's called the origin of the protractor, okay? And then you have your scales that go around the outside. Now, it's important to understand that there are two scales. One starts at 0 on the right side, and the other starts at 0 on the left side. That's important because it depends on what kind of angle you're trying to measure. Some angles may be an acute angle, which would be less than 90 degrees, or a right angle, which is exactly 90 degrees, or an obtuse angle, which is greater than 90 degrees. In which case, if it were an acute angle, you would use the smaller numbers. And if it were a 90-degree angle, a right angle, it would go straight vertical through the 90. And if it were an obtuse angle, then you'd know you'd be looking at the larger numbers greater than 90. So it's important to understand which scale you want to look at, and that all depends on whether the angle is an acute, right, or obtuse. Okay, so let's take a look at these parts. The origin, it says that it's the small hole near the bottom of the protractor, aligned over the vertex of the angle to be measured. The vertex is where the two lines of the angle are going to come together. Then you have the baseline, which is a line along the bottom of the protractor. It's aligned along one of the angle's legs. So I'll show you in a moment an example of where we place this origin at the center of the angle where the two lines come together at the vertex, and the baseline will be along one of the two angle's legs. And then, of course, you have the scales. The angles of the other leg is read from one of the two scales, whichever is more convenient, meaning if it's an acute, it's a smaller number, and if it's an obtuse, it is a larger number. Okay? So let's take a look at this example on the bottom half of the page. In this example, we have an angle ABC, okay? And the angle sits here inside this vertex, okay? And the origin is placed in the center of the hole of the protractor, and this first line of the angle is right along the baseline. Where the second line goes through the scale, that is your angle. So as I look at this angle, I can tell that it is an acute angle because it is less than 90 degrees. So what I'm going to do is take a look at what number does this cross through my protractor scale. It's going to be on the smaller scale, which is on the bottom here. And if this is 70 and this is 80, half of that would be 75, plus one more would be 76, which is why it is indicated here on this example that the measure of angle ABC equals 76 degrees. Okay? Now, let's take a look at the protractor that we're using in class. And this is an example of just that, okay? On this example, we have the origin here, which is a small hole. You see this dashed line that goes through the bottom here, goes straight through the origin. That is called the baseline, okay? And then, of course, we have our scales that come up and around. 0 to 90 would be used for the acute angle, and 0 to 180, 90 to 180 would be used for an obtuse angle. So let's take a look at the activity. The first example I'd like to use is the first one on the page. And this is asking for the measure of angle GHA GHI. So if I wanted to measure angle GHI, the first thing I would do is take my origin and place it on the vertex of the angle. And then I want to line up my baseline with that first leg, like it was discussed. So in this case, this angle does go through the scales and I can see it just fine. So I'm going to look down here and I'm going to say, I know that I'm looking at the smaller scale. So if this is 0, 10, 20, 25, it doesn't quite make it to the 30, so I believe it's going to be one shy. Therefore, making angle GHI 29 degrees. Okay? 29 degrees. Now, in some cases, like the example below, okay, this angle does not quite make it long enough to go through the scales on the protractor. So the proper way to fix that is to simply take the flat edge of your protractor and extend this angle so that it is further, okay? And therefore, when I place my origin on the vertex, okay, this leg of the angle now goes through my scale, and I can easily see that, okay? And I'll allow you to go through this 6 examples on this page on your own. On the following page, what it's asking you to do in this situation is it's giving you the first leg of an angle, but you have to create the second leg. And it is giving you the angle to create. So in this case, it says the measure of angle ABC is 30 degrees. So what I need to do is take my protractor, okay, place it down so that the origin is at the end point of that line, making sure my line goes right through the baseline of the protractor. And this angle says it's 30 degrees. So I'm going to find 30 degrees, which is right here. 30 degrees is here. So I'm going to mark on my scale where 30 degrees is. And I'm going to put a little arrowhead on it. So now what I need to do is take that marking that I placed at 30 degrees, use the straight edge of my protractor, and extend it to the origin or the vertex right there, okay? Make my little angle, and I need to label this angle as angle A, B, C, okay? So that is a 30-degree angle, A, B, C. Now that goes for the same for the next one, the third one, and also the fourth one. But as we get down towards the bottom of this worksheet, it's giving you the angle, but there's nothing there. There's nothing to be shown. So therefore, you would have to create both legs of the angle, label them accordingly, and make them exactly at the angles that are stated on the worksheet. Okay, so that's that, and hopefully by the time you finish these 2 activities, you will be well knowledged in how to use a protractor. Good luck.